MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor will be shifting from his head role to the executive chairman position. Here to explain what that move is and why it will impact the market. Bitcoin bull himself, who is joined by Julie Hyman and crypto reporter David Hollerith. Julie, David, good to see you both.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Dave. Michael, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, it's a big day for you, a busy day for you as you prepare for this succession. I want to ask you, first of all, you've said that you are stepping down in order, in part, to focus more on your Bitcoin advocacy. And I'm just curious from a day-to-day perspective, what that's going to look like, what exactly you're going to be doing versus your role now.
Well, you know, the CEO job is primarily to run a software business, and we've got about 2,200 employees at MicroStrategy and thousands of customers. I started that business 33 years ago, and I love it. But Fong, who's our president as of now, is a very good operating officer. And we've been working on a succession plan with him for about 4 years, making him first chief operating officer and then president about 2 years ago. And when he was president and CFO. We entered into a Bitcoin strategy. Our balance sheet has swelled by billions and billions of dollars. And we decided that the best thing for the business is to bring in a full-time CFO. We did that, Andrew Kang, in May of this year. And that was the catalyst that allowed us to elevate Fong to be president and CEO. And I have been wanting to assume the role of executive chairman. So this is my decision, many, many years in the making. As executive chairman, I'm going to stay engaged in the business. Many people don't realize I'm the controlling shareholder of the company, so I'm the chair of the board. I'll remain the chair of the investments committee that oversees our Bitcoin acquisition strategy. And my primary role will be advocacy, education, and innovation, working on technology, leadership opportunities. And then Fong will run the day-to-day business along with the support of Andrew, our new CFO.
Michael, given your new role, would you say that MicroStrategy's Bitcoin strategy will at all change, given that you're taking on these new advocacy-focused initiatives?
No, we're as enthusiastic as ever. It won't change, other than our goal is to acquire as much Bitcoin as we can and hold it forever. We started this strategy in August 11th of 2020. And in those 2 years, our stock is up 123% through August 1st. So we outperformed Bitcoin. We outperformed every major asset class. We're 10x better than the NASDAQ. We outperformed all of our enterprise software competitors like Oracle by a factor of 3, like IBM by a factor of 10. And we have managed to increase the enterprise value of the company by 730%, from $600 million to about $5.5 billion in that time frame. So the strategy is a big success. We're enthusiastic about continuing to both grow the business intelligence software company business and to continue to acquire more Bitcoin. This executive evolution will allow me to focus more on outgoing Bitcoin envoy and advocacy roles and corporate strategy initiatives, and it will allow Fong to run the day-to-day business as the chief executive.
Michael, I've heard you talking a lot. I heard you talk on the call. I've heard you talking a lot in interviews today about that outperformance of MicroStrategy since the strategy's inception. But from MicroStrategy's high, you've actually underperformed a lot of those assets that you've talked about if you compare their performance from their recent highs. So I guess it depends on when investors got in. And if you look at the core business as well, you guys just reported a year-over-year drop in revenue, for example, that missed estimates. So, I mean, is your only marker of success for the strategy how the stock has done since you guys started buying Bitcoin? I mean, aren't there other metrics that a potential shareholder or an existing shareholder might want to look at and not be as pleased by?
If you're a troll or a cynic and you pick any two dates with a short enough time frame, you can find a period during which every asset traded down. If you look at year-to-date performance of every risk asset in the world, they've all traded down. So what you just said could be said to literally every single CEO in the world because they all traded down this year. The reason that August 11th, 2020 matters is because on August 11th, the company announced a Dutch auction to buy back $250 million worth of its shares. And we announced that we were going to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin. On that day, the enterprise value of the software company was about $60 a share. And we had $500 million of non-performing cash. So if you look at the stock today, we have gone through this transformation from a $60 a share stock to over $300 a share. And we have converted a non-performing balance sheet into Bitcoin, which is the best performing asset in the last decade. So yeah, I think that for sure, since we embarked on the Bitcoin strategy, that is the thing that matters. The stock has been volatile up and down in the months that followed. So has every other asset in the world.
Well,
and so if you're a shareholder, you would care about
why? I mean, but if you're a
shareholder,
and
you
you're
want
a
the
Bitcoin
executive
enthusiast,
team.
and that's why you're buying it, why not just buy Bitcoin itself? Why is buying MicroStrategy better than just buying Bitcoin?
First of all, our shareholders had a $60 a share stock. That's what the software company was worth. We turned it into a $300 a share stock. So what they wanted us to do was make MicroStrategy stock go up. So we have MicroStrategy stock has performed better than every other asset and all of the competing stocks in the space. That's the right thing to do for our shareholders. As for why you would buy MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin, that's left as a decision for the investor. Some people want to hold a commodity or a property, in which case they should own Bitcoin. But I will note that MicroStrategy stock has performed better than Bitcoin since we embarked on this Bitcoin strategy, because we took a levered long position and we borrowed billions of dollars at a blended interest rate less than 2%. So if you wanted to tap into the cheap capital markets in order to make a leverage long bet on high quality property, then Bitcoin would be a very favorable investment vehicle for that.
Michael, a Bitcoin question. There's a cohort of Bitcoiners who have argued that to be a healthy network, Bitcoin can't sustain itself unless it reaps fees in some way. This is often likened to the fact that it has to become a currency at some point. And I realize that's anathema to MicroStrategy's current Bitcoin strategy, but I was curious to hear your thoughts on just sort of this topic, because if Bitcoin is a digital property, how exactly is it supposed to get development in the future? How do you see that unfolding?
The Bitcoin network is currently running on the basis of a combination of transaction fees and block subsidies, and the block rewards will go on to the year 2140. So after the year 2140, which is a long time in the future, we'll need transaction fees to compensate the miners. But the security is cumulative and the investment in mining equipment and energy contracts is cumulative. So I don't think we have much to worry about with regard to what the fees are and their relationship to security until sometime in the year 2120 or beyond. As for, do you need to move the asset for it to have value? No, absolutely not. For example, the property in Manhattan doesn't have to move for it to have value. The granite, if you own a city block in Manhattan, the fact that it hasn't moved in 200 million years doesn't have any impact on whether it has value. In fact, you would prefer that Manhattan be built on granite or schist that doesn't move for hundreds of millions of years. That actually makes the property more valuable. And Bitcoin is that, right? What you want is, you want to know that 100 years from now, there'll be no more than 21 million Bitcoin and that the network will be secure and have integrity and no one can change it. You don't really need high-speed transactions. You can do that on a layer 2 like Lightning, or a layer 3 like Cash App, or Binance or Coinbase. And people do millions of those transactions every day and it works just fine.
Michael, good to get some time with you today. Again, I know it's a busy day. Michael Saylor, who is currently CEO of MicroStrategy, but as of August 8th, will be transitioning into that executive chairman role. Thanks again. And thanks to David, too. Back to you guys.